Hi guys, I'm Samina and welcome to the Cupcake Confession where I show you how you can learn to make amazing decadent desserts and sweet treats. If this is something that you enjoy, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you do that, also don't forget to ding this little bell button. That way you will be notified every time I post a new recipe. Today we're making this intensely indulgent chocolate fudge cake, and here's how you make it. So the very first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 160C or 320F. Now here I have some Dutch processed cocoa powder which is unsweetened. To that I'm going to add some instant coffee powder, and then I'm going to pour some boiling hot water straight from the kettle into the cocoa powder and instant coffee mix. I am then going to use my whisk and then just combine all of these ingredients together. You want the cocoa powder and instant coffee to sort of melt into the boiling water, so it creates a liquid that is really nice and thick. So you're going to let this cool down to room temperature, and we're going to go on and make our actual cake batter. So here I have all of the dry ingredients. I first added the all-purpose flour. To that I'm adding some baking powder and baking soda. Then I'm also going to add some caster sugar, and I'm going to pass all of this through a sieve. The idea behind passing all of these ingredients through the sieve is to make sure that there is no lump, or there are no lumps of the caster sugar or the flour or any of the dry ingredients. Then on low speed I am going to use my electric beaters and just combine all the dry ingredients. Once that happens, I'm going to chuck in my softened salted butter. This is at room temperature, and I have used salted, but if you like to use unsalted butter, then also add a pinch of salt into the dry ingredients. It just adds a lovely flavor to the chocolate cake. So I am going to use my electric beaters, and on low speed I'm just going to mix this till it becomes or looks crumbly in texture. I'm then going to add the eggs, all of them together, and I'm just going to first beat this on very low speed initially, and then once the eggs have broken down, I'm going to kind of increase the speed to medium and keep beating this for about 2 minutes. Before the final minute, I'm just going to add some vanilla extract, and then for the final minute I'm going to mix it again on medium speed. You'll see that the texture and the consistency of the batter starts to change. The batter starts to look more pale and fluffy. Once that consistency has been achieved, it takes about 2 minutes on medium speed. It's now time to add that cooled down chocolate mix that we created right at the beginning of this video. We'll add that, and on very low speed we'll mix this chocolate liquid mix into the batter on low speed, and then we'll increase or crank up the speed to high and keep beating this for about 2 minutes. The batter will loosen up considerably, and it will have once you lift it off the beaters, you'll see that it falls down in a ribbon like fashion. So then it's time to pour this into our cake tin. So I have an 8-inch cake tin. I have greased the entire tin with some butter. I have lined the bottom with parchment paper, and I've used some all-purpose flour and dusted it along the sides of the cake tin just to make sure that nothing sticks. Then I'm just going to pour this cake batter into the tin, and now it's time to pop this cake into the oven at 160C or 320F for about 45 minutes. A skewer inserted in the center must emerge clean. Once it does, you're just going to let this cake cool down to room temperature, and while the cake is cooling, it's time now to prepare our chocolate fudge frosting. So here I have some single cream. In India it's fresh cream, so we're just going to use that, and to that I'm going to add some sweetened condensed milk. Once I've added the condensed milk, I'm also going to add some salted butter. I like to keep all the ingredients at room temperature. This ensures consistency while it's melting, so all the ingredients begin to melt at the same time. So now I've finally added the dark chocolate as well, and using a spatula on very low heat, I'm just going to keep stirring all the ingredients till they start to melt. Once I see that they have begun to melt and they are sort of combined 90%, I'm going to swap my spatula for my whisk, and it's very important now for the next 3 minutes to just keep stirring this just to ensure that the chocolate does not catch at the bottom and burn. So I'm just going to keep whisking this on very low heat for about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to take it off the heat and just sprinkle a little pinch of sea salt. It's very important to use sea salt and not table salt. So once I've added the sea salt, I'm just going to whisk it in and keep mixing it. You see how glossy it looks, and the salt just elevates the flavor of the chocolate and intensifies it somehow. So I'm going to let that cool down slightly. While that's cooling, we're going to take our cooled cake, and I'm just going to use a cake leveler to level the top off just to make sure it's flat. And then I'm going to pour that luscious chocolate fudge frosting that we just created. Because it has cooled slightly, it's much more manageable to spread it along the sides. I like to use my offset spatula and just sort of create swirly patterns. You can just leave it the way it is, and as it cools down, it will set firmer. And finally now, this is optional, completely optional, but I really like to decorate the cake with some meringues. I've made this batch myself, and I like to crush a few of the meringues on top of the cake just to give it like a snowy, wintry effect. And now it's time to slice into this chocolate fudge cake so I can show you how gorgeous and how fluffy yet fudgy it looks from the inside. So here you can see the cake is absolutely moist and fudgy. The frosting has set firm and it's so intensely decadent. You have to make this chocolate fudge cake at home. If you have any comments or suggestions, pop them down in the comments below. I post a new recipe every Tuesday and Thursday, so if this is something that you enjoy and if you want to be notified every time I post a new recipe, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you do that, also don't forget to ding this little bell button. I'll see you again next time. Bye.